Well, hi, Jerry, and it's great to see you again. I think the way to look at it is this. Google has 60-something plus products, and when you sign into one and provide information, they are saying you are the same customer on YouTube, that you're on Gmail, that you're on Google Search, or whatever it may be. So we will treat you as one. And it is not, in essence, a new phenomenon. People have been sharing information with companies for many, many years, and oftentimes we go to a brick-and-mortar company and we get upset. We say, hey, how come you're not treating me the same way? You're all run by the same company. And now Google is actually giving users exactly that experience. And for some reason, people are reacting in much of a surprise or not happy with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation on the web about this, to be sure. But to explain as a practical matter what this might look like if you're using Google, let's say that you go and look for a video of an ad you see on the Super Bowl, right? Maybe it's for beer. And you pull that up, you watch it, all of a sudden you may start getting ads for beer instead of whatever else you might have gotten. That's because they know who you are and they're watching everywhere you go. I find that a little disturbing, don't you?
Well, not really, because if you think about it, we get upset in the real world when we get junk mail that has nothing to do with what we care about. If we're searching for something, what Google is saying is, it sounds like you might actually care about this, let me deliver an ad that matters to you. And it's based on the fact that you've trusted us in one area, you're using another one of our products, why not treat you the same? So I think the real question for consumers is, what are you giving any company, whether it's Google or Facebook or whatever company, about yourself, and are you comfortable with that?
Well, my big question, what's in it for Google? What do they get?
Well, what Google gets is better advertising. They're going to target users better in the sense that now that they have a better persona of what you like, what you care about, it's easier for them to deliver ads that are relevant to you, which also means that they can make more revenue on that. And that's at the end of the day.
Translation, more money for Google. All right. You know, a lot of people are upset, but as you point out, you're going to have things directed to you that you actually might be interested in, right? I mean, that's not entirely negative. But is there an effort by people like you, by anybody else, to kind of shut this down, slow this sharing of information down? Because at the end of the day, I don't want all these web companies following me. Is there an alternative to Google if I don't want to play this game?
Well, there's two things that are happening. One is in the government side. Congress is looking at this very carefully. France and Ireland have already said they're going to examine what this means in practice. And overall, there's a big push in the government side to find ways to prevent unauthorized and unwanted access to information. And on the consumer side, if anything, we've now gotten ourselves a wake-up call. Hey, many companies have a lot more reach than you thought before. Be more conscious of what you put out there. And from that perspective, own your own privacy rather than saying, well, it's somebody else's fault and why aren't they doing what I want them to do? Well, this is a question of...
I like that phrase. I mean, I like that phrase, own your own privacy, but how do you do it as a practical matter? If you're like a lot of people, you shop on the web, you know, you're on Facebook with friends, you tweet. I mean, it's really, I mean, how do you keep yourself a secret in that kind of a situation?
I think one of the things to look at is when are you logged in? Oftentimes people forget that log into a site once, they keep themselves logged in, and now there's tracking going on, which isn't that big a deal, but it feels like it is. If you don't like it, the best thing you can do is log out of those services. So for example, when you go to Google Search, you don't have to be logged into your Gmail or your Search or your YouTube, and oftentimes people are. So there is definitely opportunity for people to do this. And I have to say, I mean, I will give kudos to Google in this sense. Privacy is about transparency. And what they have done is taken 6 weeks before this launches, the time to really tell people what's going on, what's coming, rather than doing what some other companies have done, which is you wake up one day and you're like, oh, what just happened? And that should not happen on March 1st when this actually goes live.
I guess, you know, it's early warning is probably a good thing at the end of the day, but I still have big questions about all this private information I have floating out around about me out there, just like everybody else, like you and everybody else who uses the web. But I know you'll help us keep track of it. So, Hemu, thanks for coming on tonight, and we love having you on. Come back soon.
Okay.